Hello and welcome. Now, before I get into this reaction to episode 5, I want to point you to my previous video on Dr. Stone. In that video, I talk about the first three, so I talk about those episodes, but I also talk about more general ideas about the show and why I'm really excited for this show and why I think it's going to be one of the greatest of all time. So, either right now or after this video, go ahead and check out that video. I think you'll really enjoy it. Now, this episode, I have to say, it was such a tease. Like, not only did they have the major cliffhanger at the end of episode 4 where you see Tsukasa hit Senku over the neck, or at least what I thought he was like about to, and then they were going to cut it, and then the blonde girl from the opening scene, which the manga readers know who she is, because manga readers love to ruin everything for everybody. But anyway, I thought she was going to come in the beginning of this episode, save her with whatever skills she seems to have. She seems like kind of a hunter. I thought she was going to have a bow and be like, psh, nope, none of that. He just, bam, right in the neck, dead. Or is he dead? So they have that fight, or it wasn't even a fight, it was like a tactical withdraw where they use the gunpowder, boom, Taiju and Yuzuriha get away. Okay, great. Science. So then we have to talk about the scene where they're trying to figure out how to save Senku because Tsukasa just broke his cervical cord. So, like, how are they saving him? Oh, but of course, he had stone right here and it just happened to maybe save him. Like, that's one of the things that has been bothering me about the show. While I think it is a phenomenal show, some of the stuff with the science has me thinking twice. Now, there's a lot of people who love to nitpick shows, whether it's scaling systems in shows or like with Naruto or shows like that where they have certain elements where people nitpick like how this element interacts with this element. People love to nitpick shows. Me personally, I don't love to nitpick because I think if it works, it works. As long as it doesn't, as long, if it works, it works. Like that's it. I just don't care. But I couldn't help thinking while I was watching this, like, really, like, he really just happened to have the stone on his neck. Like, really? So, I don't know. I'm really hoping in the next episode that he doesn't wake up. Because, let's be honest, even if we don't read the manga like me, we all know he's coming back. Like, what's the show just gonna stop? He's literally the show. Like I said in my previous video that him and Taiju make the protagonist. Like Senku is clearly the lead character, but they're like two sides of the same character. Like they say, they're hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. But even then, like he's coming back. So all this drama is for nothing. Like I get it. It makes you want to watch the next episode. I clearly want to watch the next episode, but like really, like if Senku comes back and he's like, oh yeah, it was bothering me, but then when we brought Tsukasa back, I was like, oh, I should probably save this for when he, because obviously he's going to kill me by hitting me in the cervical cord, so why not just save that? And then my friends are smart enough. They'll know to use the fluid because, I mean, who wouldn't just leave their cervical cord petrified? Like, I don't know. It doesn't ruin the show for me, but I don't know. It just seemed like not cliche, but like it would like if he seriously comes back and says that it was all according to Keikaku, like it was all planned. I'm gonna flip. Like I get it. It's a flex. That's the thing with anime now, where it's not who's the strongest. It's who has the biggest flex. And that's Senku's thing. He doesn't flex with how strong he is. He flexes with how smart he is and how he can count to like 1,000,000,000,000 and figure out the calendar. I get it. But if he comes back and he says that, oh, he planned that out, it's gonna bother me like just a little bit, just a smidge. So that was that. I did really appreciate the scene afterwards where they show him coming back to life before anyone else is back. I was a little curious as to how he got revived because, unlike Taiju, who is in a cave under bats, that makes sense. You don't, like, he's in the middle of the woods. So, where that, I think it's nitric acid, where that nitric acid came from, I have no idea. I mean, I guess it could have come from bats that happen to be in the woods, but that, like, see, that doesn't bother me so much because I don't know. It I really don't want to nitpick, but it's just something that like bothered me, or at least I was curious about. It definitely didn't bother me as much as the thing with his neck, but it still was in my mind. Other than that, I thought it was cool that he marked his imprint or where he was. I don't know how soon he'll be going back to investigate that, if he'll ever investigate that, if Tsukasa will even give him the time to even go back. But I think it'd be really cool if they reached a point in the story where they traveled all the way back. Because, he's going to use science to be like, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. If we go this way, oh, yeah, it was buried right here. Like, he's going to do that. I think that'd be cool for him to, like, be thinking, like, oh, well, blah, 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 and figure out how exactly he got revived. I guess that's why the whole... It's not even like a plot hole. It's just mystery. The mystery of how he got revived doesn't bother me. They show for like a second the miracle fluid, but it's still not sure. So I guess because it's mysterious and that it's a puzzle to be solved, it doesn't bother me as much. But other than that, I thought the whole scene or the drama between him and the monkeys was really cool. My first thought was, oh, they're doing this because it gives a dialogue between Senku and the audience, which it does. But it's also cool because it compares Senku to nature. Because a big part of the show is it addresses the question of what makes human beings so special. Like, why aren't we just another animal? And that's what this scene helped illustrate, because the second time I watched through, I kind of thought about it the first time, but the second time I watched through, I noticed before he's like really settled in, Senku never like calls himself a human. The monkeys, which I like to think Senku was imagining it and it wasn't just like something for the audience. I would like to think this was all going on in Senku's head as far as the monkeys talking. But the monkeys call him a shiny monkey, which straightforward enough. But Senku never calls himself a human until after he has food, shelter, and clothes, and he's got his little camp started. I thought that was interesting because it almost seemed like he was earning the title of human, because before he actually introduces himself as a human, he refers to himself as a shiny monkey. And I think that's really interesting because you see him struggling to start fire, make weapons, catch a deer. And I think the idea that he had to earn the title of calling himself a human really ties in to who he is, because he's making it such an important part of his mission to restart humanity, and he's not taking it very lightly at all. So I think this is just a small detail that reinforces his character really well. And the fact that he makes the effort to earn the title of human, I just think is a really good job by the creators and the production people. But one last thing that I thought was really cool about this episode were the little video game pop-ups. It wasn't like a major thing for the story. It was just really cute. Kind of like in the last episode where they had the robot. Like, oh, hey, kids, make sure you don't start a bomb. It wasn't like major to the plot, these little video game icons. I just thought it was cute because, again, a show should never take itself too seriously, because, like I have said in previous videos, if you're a show like Naruto where you start out humorously and you progressively take yourself way too seriously and you become edgy, it kind of makes it hard for the audience to take the show seriously. And I like that about the show. It has a lot of science and it has a lot of personality and philosophy, but it never takes itself too seriously. Although, this whole thing with the neck has me worried. Because if this is going to be a reoccurring trend where you have these things that the author uses to just miraculously save the characters, oh, it's science. I really hope that isn't a reoccurring trend. Manga fans, if that is, please don't tell me. Please don't put in the comments. I want people to comment, but please don't put in the comments that is something that happens. You know what? Even if you do, I'm just not going to believe it. Anyway, if you like this video, please let me know. This is a great show, despite this iffy episode 5, but I want to do as many videos on Dr. Stone as possible. Other than that, subscribe to the channel, check out my other videos, follow me on Twitter so I can hear your thoughts on your shows, and thanks for listening, and I hope to hear from you soon.